Good morning, everyone. The Prince George's County Planning Board is now in session. I'm Elizabeth Hewlett. We had technical difficulties a minute ago, and we had sound challenges around here too, meaning the chairman. But anyway, so I'm Elizabeth Hewlett, Chair of the Prince George's County Planning Board, and it is Thursday, February 10th, and it is our 78th virtual meeting. As we continue business operations, I'm going to remind everyone of the rules and participation guidelines to participate. So speaker pre-registration and pre-submission of comments and exhibits is required. All materials or exhibits, if any, must be submitted by 12 noon. I say this because every now and then people say, I didn't know. So listen up, everyone. All participants must pre-register, and all materials or exhibits, if any, must be submitted by 12 noon on the Tuesday before the planning board meetings, as shown on the screen, Mr. Flanagan, as shown on the screen, as also announced in every single weekly meeting. Further, it's posted on our commission website, and finally, it's clearly stated in bold red on our published weekly planning board agenda. So, registered speakers and presenters may join the meeting on the link provided via email from the planning board office, or may listen or participate by phone utilizing the call-in number in the via the email. And of course, the public may continue to watch planning board meetings streamed live, or if you wish to become a person of record, you may sign up on our online web form. And please note the screen, Mr. Flanagan is using the cursor to show everyone that's how you sign up or become a person of record. Okay, so I do want to acknowledge who we have present with us in this Love Month. We have our Madam Vice Chair, Dorothy Bailey, and we have Commissioners Washington and Commissioner Dorner and Commissioner Giraldo. We have with us today, they also have with us the Planning Director, Andre Checkley, and we also have with us our Acting Planning Deputy Director, Derek Berlage, in the hearing room. We also have with us our Chief of Development Review, James Hunt. We have our technical hearing writer, Marie Proctor. Because you can't see everyone, we have that wizard, that visual media specialist, Ryan Cron, working his magic behind the scenes. We have Kenny Flanagan over here working the PowerPoint. So if you need the PowerPoint advanced, or if you need to go to a particular screen or shot, please refer to Mr. Flanagan. And we have our counsel with us, Mr. Lisa Coleman, Associate General Counsel, and there she is, President. I think I hit everyone, So as always, we commence our hearings with a moment of silence for those who have passed on in the intervening week. And I want to start within our commission family. We want to remember Carol Warner, who is the mother of our principal counsel, David Warner. David advises us here at planning board meetings that she passed on Tuesday. Interestingly enough, originally from Wisconsin, Ms. Warner's family, all of her family, settled in Prince George's County in the early 1900s, right smack in the middle of Landover, before there was even a beltway. So our principal counsel has deep roots in Prince George's County. We want to remember Ms. Warner. We also want to remember, we keep Alex Howell in our prayers. He is a Planner 3 in the Development Review Division within the Planning Department. He also lost his mother on Monday evening. We want to keep the entire Howell family in our thoughts and prayers as well. And our hearts go out to Alex and to David for the loss of their mothers. Many of us have been painful. You only get one. Within Prince George's County, we want to remember Jack Sims and lift his family in our thoughts and prayers. Jack Sims was a 3-term former mayor of District Heights. Within the region, we want to remember Richard Dickey Shannon, who was the founder of Horace and Dickey Seafood, which has served the District of Columbia and Prince George's County communities for 36 years. Amazing man, and I want to tell you, the best fried fish that you could ever want to eat. I'm just saying, Horace and Dickey's. We want to remember the latest victims of the widespread coronavirus pandemic. There are nearly 79 million cases in the United States alone, and over 935,000 deaths. That's a lot of deaths. You know what you need to do. I'm going to come back to that. Throughout the nation and the world, we want to remember Sylvester Syl Johnson, the blues and soul singer, known for his hits Different Strokes and Take Me to the River. Donnie Gerard, lead singer of the group Skylark, known for his signature hit, beautiful Wildflower. Hopefully most of you will remember that. Betty Davis. Oh my goodness, you talk about the queen of funk. Soul singer and ex-wife of jazz legend Miles Davis, along with some other ex-wives. But anyway, known for her her somewhat risque lyrics. And I'll leave it at that. Bill Fitch, 89 Hall of Famer and two-time NBA Coach of the Year, who led the Celtics to the championship title in 1981. Robin Herman, former New York Times reporter who broke sports journalism barriers as the first woman to interview players in the locker room after the NHL game. Ashley Bryant, age 98, award-winning children's author and illustrator who created Beat the Story, Drum Pum Pum, and Beautiful Blackbird. Arnie Kantrowitz, age 81, LGBTQ plus rights activist and co-founder of GLAAD. And GLAAD stands for Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, GLAAD. We want to remember Arnie. Josh Newman, age 22, U.S. skateboard and social media influencer, died with the three others following a plane crash in Iceland. Brittany George, Australian skier and aspiring Olympian, who had been reported missing. Just tragic. Robert Blaylock, age 73, Oscar-winning visual effects artist who worked on the original Star Wars film. And of course, we don't know everyone, but we want to extend our deepest sympathy to any of you who are present here or who are in our viewing or listening audience who may have suffered the loss of a loved one as well. Please know that we open our hearts and extend our hearts and thoughts and prayers to you. If we may have that moment of silence, please. Thank you. Again, it is our second planning board meeting in the month of February. It is Black History Month, just a little bit more on that momentarily. It is American Heart Month. 17 million people die from stroke or heart disease annually. So you've got to take care of your heart and do the things that you need to do physically as well as emotionally during this love month. It is National Therapeutic Recreation Month, and I got to give a shout out to our Department of Parks and Recreation, particularly our recreation component for therapeutic recreation. Our program is award-winning, it is national award-winning therapeutic recreation, and we have been at hearings where parents have moved out west for some job opportunity or for some unknown reason, and then said their therapeutic recreation programs for their kids, and perhaps with autism or whatever, they could not hold a candle to what our recreation department does. So they, in turn, have moved back. It's been phenomenal, and we were actually pioneers because, and maybe Vice Chair Bailey will remember this, when we started integrating those with special needs with just putting everyone together in one population, not segregating folks. And parents were afraid. The next year they came back and they said, oh my goodness, it was right. Because children do not hate, they do not discriminate. Little children, that's a learned behavior. So our therapeutic recreation program is phenomenal. And so I wanted to give a shout out to them. It is National Teen Dating Violence and Awareness Prevention Month. Nationwide, youth 12 to 19 experience the highest rates of rape and sexual assault. 12 to 19, the highest rates of rape and sexual assault. That those of you with children, grandchildren, great nieces and nephews, or nieces and nephews, we have to be vigilant about that because this is highly prevalent and it's not always reported. 10% of adolescents report being the victim of physical violence at the hands of an intimate partner just in the previous year alone. That's 10% of adolescents. And 1 in 8 females and 1 in 26 male high school students reported having experienced sexual dating violence in the last year. 26% of women, 15% of men experience intimate partner violence for the first time before the age of 18. And what makes it worse is there is a disconnect among parents. Many teens are reluctant to disclose these experiences, and 80% of the parents believe, oh no, not my teen. My teen has never been subjected to any kind of dating violence. But you see this disconnect with the children are reporting elsewhere. So that's a problem. As you all know, This coming Monday is Valentine's Day. It is the love day. And since it's on a Monday, you should start over the weekend. And usually this refers to romantic love, but I have to tell you, we need more love in this world. And that means brotherly love, neighborly love, sisterly love, and by all means, self-love. And while we're focused on self-love, that means your health and everything else, and your emotions, and eliminating the negativity and people who stress you out, or or particularly maliciously. So, and while you're focusing on self-love, this week before Valentine's Day is Dump Your Significant Jerk Week, because if you got a jerk that's in your life, they need to go. Okay, and that way you can. That's a way of focusing on your own self-love and preparing you for genuine love. Okay, on this day, February 10th, in 1927, world-renowned opera singer Leontyne Price came into the world. 1937, iconic vocalist and musician Roberta Flack came into the world. 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower warned the United States government about intervention in Vietnam. Just saying. 1990, South African President de Klerk announced finally that the amazing ANC president, lawyer, activist, visionary Nelson Mandela would be freed the next day after decades in the South African prison. 1971, Carole King released her seminal album, Tapestry, beautiful. 1978, Van Halen released their self-titled debut album. And finally, guess what happens this Sunday? We are talking Super Bowl 56, the LA Rams versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And so I don't know who's rooting for Cincinnati, who's rooting for LA. It's going to be a good game. And halftime, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. And the Rams are going for their second Super Bowl title, the first time since their Super Bowl 34 win in 1999 while they were in St. Louis. And the Bengals are seeking their first Super Bowl title ever. I will tell you that the Planning Department, next to the first slide, the Planning Department Transportation Survey is underway. We're looking for input from residents and community stakeholders who will help guide the new and updated Master Plan of Transportation 2035. So please take 10 to 15 minutes to complete the online survey. As you can see, Mr. Flanagan is referring to it. You can take a picture with your camera, but we need your help. I mean, everything that we do is collaborative, and we need community input for this. So thank you. Again, it is, next slide, it is the Black History Month. And last week we talked about the Department of Parks and Recreation. This month we're talking about the planning departments. So the planning department's Black History Month committee is hosting a virtual event. It's called Shop Talks, using public spaces to advance Black health, wellness, and joy. That goes back to self-love too. So please join us. Local and national health advocates will share best practices for improving physical and mental health within the African American community. And for more details or to register in advance, visit pgplanning.org. I will also tell you that, don't have it with me. Oh, I will also remind everyone that, so that's the planning department, pgplanning.org, using public spaces to advance Black health, wellness, and joy. It'll be Tuesday, February 15th at 10:30 a.m. Also as a reminder, the Department of Parks and Recreation, the Recreation Department does so much. They will have an exhibition, which is called More Than a Month, commemorating 40 years of the Commission's Black History Month program. And there's a brochure there that you can download with lots of activities, even in this virtual environment. So hats off to all the many recreation amenities that are offered and programs that are offered throughout this county. And you can go for that one. You can go to blackhistory.pgparks.com. Next slide, please. Prince George's County Health Department and the Office of Emergency Management will be distributing 25,000 free COVID-19 at-home test kits each week at designated community centers and libraries within the county. 1 box per person. You must be present, and is for ages 2 years or older. Residents are required to show proof of county residency, driver's license, utility bill, lease agreement in order to receive the test. The tests will be distributed on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and Thursdays at 8 a.m. while supplies last at designated commission locations. Some locations may change from week to week, so please check the web address on the screen for more details and a list of all locations across the county. Finally, we want to give a special shout out to our own BAM, Commissioner Will Dorner, who is finally moving on to the next decade. This young 30-something-year-old is now 40 years old. Hallelujah. There we go. Hallelujah. He's an amazing part of our commission. We run the gamut here, not just geographically, but in terms of our skill set and in terms of our age, and it makes for a great team. And Will, being the baby of the group, we're so glad that he's finally turned 40. So we're really, really proud of him. And, he brings so much knowledge and expertise. And I think, wait, did I see a gray hair under there? No, I'm only kidding. Not yet. Okay. So, but in his relatively young years, I mean, he has amazing wisdom. And so you've just been a wonderful asset to this wonderful team that we have here. And so I'm very, very pleased. A couple of weeks ago, he presented to the heads of a few federal agencies like Treasury, Securities and Exchange Commission, and HUD about mortgage limits and house prices. His expertise is phenomenal. So can you all join me with happy big 4-0 to Commissioner Will Dorner? There we go. So as I close with my announcements, again, we've been fraught with challenges throughout this past 2 years, yet we continue to struggle with very tough times and grappling with anxiety, stress, fear, loss of friends and loved ones, big changes on the horizon, and we're just plain tired of the disruption to our lives. But we will always continue to push forward because we are resilient. We are strong and we are resilient. We consult with the Prince George's County Health Department on a daily basis, and we get the percentage of positive test results, the infection rate, the average daily case rate, and they remain at unacceptable levels right here in Prince George's County. Omicron has proven to be far more contagious than the Delta variant, even if you're vaccinated. But if you're vaccinated, particularly if you are boosted, you are far less likely to die or to require a ventilator or to be placed in an ICU or even to be hospitalized. And that is the good news. So you know what you need to do. We're all in this together. It is not just about you. It's about all of us. So if you haven't done so yet, by all means, do this for you, for your loved ones. It is Valentine's month. It is the love month. Do this for the people you love. Get vaccinated, get boosted for yourselves and for the safety of everyone. And now we thank you and appreciate you for your flexibility, cooperation, and support as we continue our planning functions in a safe fashion. As we embark on today's hearings, let's embrace 2022 and remain throughout it all. We do have blessings, and let's remain thankful for our blessings. Let's step up our game, increase our efforts to be kind, to stay safe, to look out for one another, to stay strong, to stay resilient, to get vaxxed and boosted, and by all means, remain ever hopeful as we continue our journey to a better place together. Thank you. First item on our agenda, the draft minutes of the February 3rd meeting. Is there a motion?
Approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second to move approval of the draft minutes from the February 3rd, 2022 meeting. Madam Vice, the motion was by Madam Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner, 40.
40.
Madam Vice Chair,
Aye.
Commissioner Washington.
She's not on yet.
Oh, she's not, oh, I see what, okay. Wow. She has a sound problem. Okay. All right. But she's there.
Aye.
Okay. Got it. She votes aye. Commissioner,
Vote aye.
I got you. Commissioner Dorner
Vote aye.
and Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Next item is the consent agenda. Is there anyone here to oppose the staff's recommendations on items 4B, 4D, or 4E? And I should mention that there is a staff exhibit memo number one, which is a memo to the proposed, regarding the proposed revisions to conditions. And then there's applicants exhibit number one, which are the proposed revisions. Do you need to comment on any of this, Mr. Hunt?
No, Madam Chair, just a quick point that the staff report was published and the applicant and staff are working through the conditions, and there's revised conditions here, which staff is in full agreement at this point.
Okay, so the motion would need to include the revised conditions to
Yes, Madam Chair.
okay, and that was to 4D, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So with that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda along with the revised conditions to 4D?
Madam Chair, I do move the adoption of the staff's finding and approve the items on the consent agendas in accordance with the recommendation of staff, including revised additions to item 4D.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Madam Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Madam Vice Chair?
But aye.
Commissioner Washington? Okay, she's working on it. Okay. Let's go back to Commissioner Dorner.
But aye.
And Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
Okay, the ayes have it 4-0. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is item 5, which is Comprehensive Design Plan 9705-04, Cameron Grove. It is the Johnson Sunroom. I just want to make sure we have everyone we need. Ms. Tierra Butler, there you are, we see you. Mr. Brown, our People Zoning Council, are you present?
Yes,
Yeah.
good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Brown, Mr. People Zoning Council. Good to see you.
Pleasure to be.
Thank you. And we have Adam Ford from Maryland Sunrooms. Are you on?
I'm here.
Wonderful. And then we have Philippa Johnson. We see you there. So that's good. Thank you. And that concludes the silent list. I do have to read a comprehensive design plan, so I do need to read a statement. So again, this is Comprehensive Design Plan 9705-04 for Cameron Grove, the Johnson Sunroom. This hearing is being held under the General Enabling Authority of the Land Use Article, Annotated Code of Maryland, and conducted in accordance with the specific requirements and procedures of sections 27-516 through 532 of the Prince George's County Code and the Annotated Code of Maryland. All persons appearing before this board to present testimony, which means Mr. Ford and Ms. Johnson, would you just raise your right hand and declare in the presence, and I'm going to ask you this question, in the presence of Almighty God, do you solemnly promise and declare that the testimony you are about to give before this board is the truth to the best of your knowledge and belief? Ms. Johnston, sorry.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Sorry, I do.
Thank you so very much. And I don't think, okay, so that's it. So with that, I'm going to turn to Ms. Butler. You are on.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Board. For the record, I am Tierra Butler with the Urban Design Section. The project before you is item number 5, Comprehensive Design Plan CDP-9705-04 for Cameron Grove, Lot 66, Block A, Johnson Sunroom, which is a homeowner minor amendment for the proposal of a sunroom in the rear of the existing single-family detached dwelling. Next slide, please. This site is located in Prince George's County Planning Area 74A and Council District 6, as identified in the magenta colored area on the map. Next slide, please. This site is located on the south side of Cape Lane, approximately 288 feet west of its intersection with Fuller Avenue. The site boundary is shown on the vicinity map outlined in red. Next slide, please. The subject property is zoned residential RL as represented in the green color area on the zoning map. Next slide, please. This aerial photo shows the existing conditions of the property, which shows the existing single family detached dwelling. Next slide, please. This site contains slopes shown in the contour lines on the map. Next slide, please. The site is located along Acadia Lane, which is not located near any master plan right of way. Next slide, please. This slide shows the bird's eye view of the property that shows the boundary and shows the existing single family home. Next slide, please. This slide shows the overall site. The location of the property within the Cameron Grove subdivision is outlined in red. Next slide, please. This slide shows the sunroom location. The applicant is proposing a 12-foot, 6-inch by 16-foot sunroom attached to the rear of the existing single-family detached home. The sunroom complies with the requirements of the CDP, except regarding the required rear yard setback. The CDP stipulates that the minimum rear yard setback for single-family detached houses is 20 feet, as outlined in condition 17 of the resolution. The proposed sunroom encroaches into the rear setback 17 feet. Therefore, this application was filed as the sunroom is located only 3 feet from the rear property line. The sunroom proposes to increase the total lot to 49%, which is 9% over the requirement. Next slide. This slide shows the sunroom elevations. The sunroom will be 9 feet tall and designed to match the exterior architecture of the existing home. Next slide, please. And with that, urban design staff recommends that planning board adopt the findings of this report and approve homeowner minor amendment to the comprehensive design plan CDP-9705-04, Cameron Grove, lot 66, block A, Johnson Sunroom. And this concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Butler. Appreciate it. I'm now going to turn to our People's Zoning Council first to see if he has any questions or comments. Mr.
No
Brown?
question. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. I will look to our board to see if they have any questions. Madam Vice Chair,
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Washington.
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorner.
No questions.
Okay, and Commissioner Giraldo.
No questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. So then with that, the next person is Ms. Johnson. Do you wish to speak?
No, I have no comments. I appreciate the planning staff's efforts and the commission's efforts.
Thank you. And Mr. Ford, any questions?
I'll second what Ms. Johnson to say. We appreciate the efforts put forward and the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. With that, we're ready for a vote.
Madam Chair,
A motion rather.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the staff's findings as well as the staff's recommendation in CDP-9705-04, Cameron Grove, lot 66, block A, Johnston Sunroom.
second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Giraldo, seconded by Madam Vice Chair. Madam Vice Chair.
But I,
Commissioner Washington.
04.
Okay.
Madam-
Okay. So she's having some difficulties. Okay. Let's go to Commissioner Dorner.
Can you hear me?
Now we hear you.
mhm.
Are you voting? How are you voting? That was an aye.
Can you
We're gonna have to- Yes, that was
I'm
an aye.
voting aye.
There we go. Commissioner Dorner
Vote aye.
and Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you very much. But the next item is that accompanies this matter, and it is the draft resolution PGC-PD number 2022-14 for Cameron Grove, the Johnston Sunroom.
Move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Madam Vice Chair,
But I,
Commissioner Washington,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner,
Vote aye.
and Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda, we're going to proceed in this order, is item 12. We have 4 reservations. And let me just make clear for everyone else. After item 12, we're going to go to 13, 14, 7, 8, 9, 15, 10. Okay, so 12, 13, 14, 7, 8, 9, 15, 10. Item 12. Item 12, Mr. Capers, are you on?
I'm here, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Barry White. Okay, Judith Howerton? Yeah, you
Good
are.
morning, Chair. Present, yes.
Okay, with that, we're ready for your presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Judith Howerton with the Transportation Planning Section. This morning we have 4 reservations that will expire on June 30, 2022. And Section 24141 of the Prince George's County Code provides that a reservation may be continued for additional periods of time, and that prior to the expiration date, the Planning Board shall determine whether the reservation should be renewed. It's also required that consent from the property owners be obtained prior to any continuation beyond the first 3 years. And it is required that an opportunity be provided for the county executive and the county council to comment on the renewals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howerton. Appreciate it very much. Good to see you. With that, I don't know that there are any questions. Can you just indicate by show of hands if there's any questions? And if not, because this is fairly simple, we'll entertain a motion.
Move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Madam Vice Chair.
But I.
Commissioner Washington. Okay, she's frozen. We'll come back to her. She's saying aye. Okay, let the record reflect. You can see her. She's got her hand raised, and now we can hear her. So she says aye. Commissioner Dorner?
Good night.
And then Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye. Thank you for staff as well.
Okay, the ayes have it 5-0. Thank you very much, Ms. Howerton, Mr. Capers. Next item on our agenda is an extension request for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-07108 Conterra Town Center East. Ms. Gupta, there you are. We see you. Mr. Gingles. Okay, we see that your name is there, but we don't see you.
Goes on early.
Mr. Gingles. I'm going to give him a few seconds. And I just want to make sure he's on.
He's on now.
Okay, all right, Mr. Gingles. So we're ready. Then, Ms. Gupta, you're on.
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, members of the board. For the record, I am Radhila Gupta with the subdivision section. Item number 13 on the agenda is an extension request for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-07108 titled Conterra Town Center East. This preliminary plan of subdivision was approved by the Planning Board on July 24th, 2008, and it is valid through December 31st, 2021. Due to prior legislative extensions of the plan's validity period approved by the County Council. Our letters dated November 30, 2021 and January 21st, 2022. The applicant requested a 6-year extension of the plan's approval. This is the applicant's first extension request. The extension request was required to be filed prior to the expiration of the preliminary plan of subdivision, and this requirement was met. If this request is approved, the preliminary plan of subdivision will be valid through December 31st, 2027. The subject preliminary plan of subdivision approved 980 lots and 67 parcels for the development of 4,500 dwelling units, and 5.9 million square feet of commercial use. Section 24-119D of the subdivision regulations, as modified by County Council Bill CD-93-2021, authorizes the Planning Board to grant an extension to the normal expiration of a preliminary plan of subdivision when certain criteria are met. For this preliminary plan, the criteria under Section 24-119D6 apply. These criteria and their findings are listed in the staff memorandum. Pursuant to Section 24-119D6A, this plan was valid for a 6-year validity period and is eligible for the requested extension because it includes more than 400 dwelling units, more than 300,000 square feet of commercial development, and is more than 150 acres in the mixed-use transportation-oriented zone, or the MXT zone. Pursuant to Section 24-119D6C, an extension of up to 6 years from the expiration of the preliminary plan may be granted by the Planning Board if at least one of the 3 criteria in Section 24-119D6 subsections B, Romanet 1 through B, Romanet 3 is met. Staff find that the first and second criteria under subsection B were met. Approval of this preliminary plan of subdivision required that certain public infrastructure be either fully funded or be bonded and permitted by the applicant. Since the approval of the preliminary plan, the applicant has consistently over the years either contributed to or completed construction of several key items of public infrastructure that will accommodate all stages of development of the Cantera Town Center project. This first slide here depicts an aerial imagery showing the current conditions on and around the property. As can be seen, the property is surrounded by significant transportation infrastructure. The applicant has contributed to development of several of these components, as well as initiated construction of the internal road network of the subject property. In addition, staff found that the applicant has been proceeding in a diligent manner to complete the development, and that it has been through no fault of their own that the applicant has been unable to complete the development within the plan's validity time frame. Since the approval of the preliminary plan of subdivision, the applicant has filed numerous applications which are required prior to platting the property in order to vest the development rights of the property. The applications which have been either approved or are currently in review are listed in the staff memorandum. The timelines of various applications and approvals initiated by the applicant demonstrate the applicant's effort to move towards filing of the final plans, and that these efforts were slowed and delayed initially by the nationwide recession and then later the COVID-19 pandemic. Based on staff's findings, staff recommends that the Planning Board grant a 6-year extension for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-07108, Cantera Town Center East, pursuant to Section 24-119D6B, Romanet 1 and Romanet 2 of the subdivision regulations. This concludes staff presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Gupta. I think I'm going to turn directly to Mr. Gingles and then see if the board has any questions. So Mr. Gingles, you are on. You put those glasses on.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Andre Gingles, an attorney with law offices in Laurel, Maryland, actually right at the Cantera headquarters. First, I thank Ms. Gupta for a great deal of communication that we had, as well as additional information that she asked me to provide. I just want to point out maybe 2 things. One, and perhaps most important, and you'll see this in her staff report, particularly on pages 2 and 3, where she discusses the amount of infrastructure that has been done. It's one of the rare instances where such a substantial amount of infrastructure, particularly transportation infrastructure, has gone in ahead of any significant density or intensity that was allowed by the subdivision. Second, we have always, or the owners have always sort of prioritized trying to commence a great deal of the commercial development before the residential development, and the focus has been on that. recently, as trends have changed with regard to commercial development, particularly retail commercial development, we've moved the focus now to commencing with some significant aspects of the residential development, and those are part of the pending plans that will be coming before the planning board. With that, I again would like to thank Ms. Gupta for her report and for her discussions with me along the process, and would ask for the board's favorable consideration on this request. If I may, Madam Chairman, that's for the record on this. I'd like to just, not necessarily for the record of this case, in as much as I expect it to be more appearances before this board, particularly this board as it has been chaired by the current chairman, to be numbered, I'd like to just maybe take a moment and pass on my own view of what I've always referred to affectionately as the chairman's chatter. We heard a lot of that at the beginning of this today. I have been a part of a lot of great accomplishments that have occurred by this commission and this planning board, both during your leadership as chairman and also during your time and tenure as counsel for the board. The hallmarks of that have been the integrity of the process and the opportunity for people to be heard. And I think people walk away with that, that sort of being a reminder of their participation in when they come before this board. I think your attention to both history celebration and the announcements, both of local, regional, national, and international interests, are the hallmark, which has and generally do occur at the beginning of these sessions, and are very well thought of. It's a remarkable imprint to leave, and we all wish you, or I do wish you, and I'm sure many others will pass this on, the best for success, happiness, and fulfillment in whatever becomes your future endeavor. I'll leave with just one last thought. There's a great doctor of art and philosophy whom you and I both know, and one of his sayings is, his feet don't fail me now. I'm sure yours will not. And with that, again, I ask for your favorable consideration on the actual matter that I'm here before you on.
All right. So, you know what, Mr. Gingles, thank you so very much for your beautiful comments. I had to go grab the tissue and hope that no tears would fall. We were welling, but they didn't fall, especially when, and then you took me to someplace beautiful when you closed with that quote from that famous Dr. Frankenstein, who I admire tremendously. So yes, feet don't fail me now. So it was just very kind of you. And, you know, I'm sure our paths will continue to cross. So thank you very, very much for that. So now I'm going to see if the board has any questions of either Ms. Gupta or Mr. Gingles. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions, but the comment also took my breath away, but no questions.
Commissioner Washington?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, and Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, thank you.
And Commissioner Giraldo?
No questions. I would share in, obviously, Mr. Gingle's comments, but I also want to make the community aware that the Prince George's County Bar Association at its spring meeting will honor Madam Chair. I vote aye. Oh, no questions.
Thank you.
I got carried away. My bad.
Honestly, you all are really very funny, and you're touching my heart in such a beautiful way. The ayes had it 5-0.
Madam Chair, we didn't take the vote. We
didn't take the vote, so we didn't take the vote. Okay, so there were no questions. Okay, well, hold up. See, you got me discombobulated now.
Has it all done.
Okay, so now we need a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of staff and approve the 6-year extension for preliminary plan 4-07108.
I second it, Madam Chair.
I think, okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Washington. I think Madam Vice Chair beat you to it this time, Commissioner Giraldo. So
Okay, he deserves
okay.
it.
And then, okay, and then we have, so we have a motion and a second. Madam Vice Chair,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it 5-0. Congratulations. You know what? I have to say, Conterra and Conterra Town Center is just magnificent, and I'm glad that that the extension request has been granted, because Conterra Town Center is going to be amazing. The town center itself, but the rest of Conterra is just come along nicely. When I was in the private sector, I knew a little bit about Conterra Town Center. This was approved by a previous planning board in 2007. It's just going to be amazing. So kudos to you and your client, Mr. Gingles. And again, thank you for your beautiful and very kind comments. It just touched my heart. Okay.
Have a good day, all.
Thank you. You have a good day as well. And all right. So the next item on our agenda is item 14, which is also an extension request for a preliminary plan of subdivision 4-06116 Greenvale Parkway. Mr. Heath, are you on?
President,
Yes, you
Madam
are.
Chair.
Wonderful. Good to see you. And this is for a 1-year extension request. So Mr. Heath, you are on.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, I'm Antoine Heath with the subdivision section. Item number 14 on the agenda is an extension request for a preliminary plan of subdivision 4-06116 Greenvale Parkway. This preliminary plan of subdivision was approved by the planning board on May 3rd, 2007, and was valid through December 31st, 2021, due to prior legislative extensions of the plan's validity period approved by County Council. By letter dated December 15th, 2021, the applicant requested a 1-year extension of the plan's approval. This is the applicant's first extension request. If this request is approved, the plan will be valid through December 31st, 2022. The subject preliminary plan approved 8 lots for the development of 8 single-family detached dwellings. Pursuant to section 24-119 D5A, an extension of the validity period of an approved preliminary plan may be granted by the planning board if all 5 criteria in subsections A Romanet 1 through A Romanet 5 are met. Staff did find that all 5 criteria under the section have been met. Regarding criteria 1 and 2, the extension request was required to be the expiration of the preliminary plan of subdivision, and this requirement was met. The subdivision also remains in conformance with all applicable requirements of subtitle 27. Regarding criteria 3 and 4, staff found that 2 years is not sufficient time to prepare the final plats, given that condition 7 of the preliminary plan requires approval of a detailed site plan prior to approval of the final plat. This detailed site plan required, but was not limited to, review of screening through tree preservation and/or landscape buffer yards, and revisions to the site caused by the approval of the stormwater management concept plan, and review of building materials and design to ensure compatibility with neighboring homes. As a result of these requirements, certain items needed for the detailed site plan have had to have been redesigned and reapproved, causing delays. Staff also found that the developer has not been unduly delaying the filing of the plats. Because of the steep slopes on the site, which will require retaining walls, the applicant had to conduct a slope analysis in order to get their stormwater management concept plan approved in 2018. The applicant also filed the needed detailed site plan in 2019 and has been working to respond to staff's comments regarding the steep slopes and retaining walls needed to stabilize the site. Based on staff's finding and the eligibility of a 1-year extension as found in criterion 5, staff recommends approval of the 1-year extension request for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-06116 Greenvale Parkway pursuant to section 24-119D of the subdivision regulations. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Heath. Appreciate it. Let's see if there's any questions of you at this time. Madam Vice Chair.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Washington.
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Heath.
Wonderful. Commissioner Dorner
No questions. Thank you.
and Commissioner Geraldo. What happened?
I'm here. Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
No question. I have no
Okay.
question.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Heath.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that concludes the question portion, and there's no one signed up to speak on this matter, so we'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of staff and approve the one-year extension for preliminary plan 4-06116.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Commissioner Geraldo. Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
And Commissioner Geraldo?
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you so very much. Mr. Heath, thank you. So the next item on our agenda is item 7, which is detailed site plan 07057-05, Woodmore Town Center, lot 14, block J. This gives pool. Let me check and make sure that we have everyone that we need for this one. Again, it's Mr. Bishop.
Present, Madam Chair.
Wonderful. And then we have a Cathar, I may not have pronounced it correctly, Gibbs.
I'm on.
Okay, did I pronounce it correctly? No. Can you tell me how to pronounce your name just so I don't mess it up?
It's Kaitha.
Kaither. Okay, thank you so very much. Okay.
You bet.
All right. So, Mr. Bishop, you're on.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. Before I begin, I'd like to take a brief moment to wish Commissioner Dorner a happy birthday and welcome him to the club for those of us who are 40 or better.
Well, let me just take a moment. I don't know about the 40 part, but definitely the better part, you know, meaning beyond. And I'd like to welcome him to the club, but I've exited that club a long time ago. But anyway. Okay.
You're always a member once you get into it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Bishop.
For the record, I am Andrew Bishop with the Urban Design Section. The case before you is item 7, detailed site plan DSP 07057-05 for Woodmore Town Center, lot 14, block J. This application is a homeowner minor amendment request to allow for the construction of a pool and hot tub within a portion of the rear setback of an existing single-family lot. As we get started, please note that given the minor nature of this request, a resolution has been presented for the board's consideration today as item 8 on your agenda. Slide 2, please. The property is in central Prince George's County in Planning Area 73, Council District 5. Slide 3, please. The subject property is on the north side of Sir Michael Place, southwest of its intersection with Glen Arden Parkway. Slide 4, please. The subject property and surrounding properties are within the MXT zone. Slide 5, please. The site is in a residential area and currently improved with an existing single-family dwelling constructed in approximately 2015. Slide 6, please. The subject property is not adjacent to any master plan rights-of-way. Slide 7, please. This bird's eye view of the property provides a view of the front yard of the existing home. And as you can see, the views into the backyard would be screened by the house and existing fence. Slide 8, please. The bird's eye view, this is another bird's eye view and provides the rear yard of the existing home where the applicant is proposing the pool and hot tub. Slide 9, please. This is a site plan of the application showing the improvements on site and highlights the pool and hot tub in yellow. Slide 10, please. Finally, this is a plan of the property showing the location of the existing home on the lot. Slide 11, please. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of DSP 07057-05 for Woodmore Town Center, Lot 14, Block J, with no conditions. As mentioned at the start of this presentation, a draft resolution has been prepared for your review and is item 8 on the agenda. Thank you. This concludes staff's presentation.
All right, thank you so very much, Mr. Bishop. I appreciate it. Let me see if the board has any questions of you at this time. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Commissioner Washington?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, and I appreciate the warm welcome into the club. I look forward to meetings.
Wonderful. And then Commissioner Giraldo?
No questions. Thank you so much, Mr. Bishop. Thank you for the welcoming of Mr. Dorner, Commissioner Dorner, into the club.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And so, Ms. Gibbs? You said Kyther Gibbs.
I'm on, yes.
Okay. Do you have any anything you would like to add?
No, I just respectfully ask for approval. It's been a year in the making, so we would love to get started on our pool.
Okay, so hold tight and let's see what we can do for you.
Thank you.
If there are no questions, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and approve detailed site plan DSP-07057-05.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Vice Chair Bailey. Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
And Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Gibbs. And the next item, well, hold on though, but the next item is the resolution approving that will capture the embodiment of our decision. So that is item 8. It is a draft resolution, Prince George's County Planning Board number 2022-15 for the Woodmore Town Center Lot 14, Block J, Gibbs Pool. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Vice Chair Bailey. Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
And Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye on the resolution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Okay, now you're done from our standpoint, Ms. Gibbs, so congratulations to you. All right, the next item on our agenda is item 9, which is a secondary amendment for secondary amendment 130001-03, Hayford's property at Riverdale Park. It is the station food, Riverdale Park Station and Food Hall. Mr. Sievers, are you on?
Yes, ma'am, present.
Okay, wonderful. And there we have Mr. Taub. It's been a long time, Mr. Taub. Good to see you.
Yes, ma'am. Nice to see you as well.
Okay, so now we have Mark Regalinski.
I'm here.
Did I pronounce it correctly?
That was perfect.
Perfect, thank you. Every once in a while I get it right, okay. And representing Hayford's Enterprises. So with that, Mr. Sievers, you are on.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. For the record, I am Thomas Sievers, Senior Planner with the Zoning Section. Item number 9 on the agenda is a secondary amendment for Hayford's property at Riverdale Park, SA-130001-03. The subject application requests to amend the table of uses to permit a food hall use in the 2012 Hayford's property at Riverdale Park Town Center Development Plan. Additionally, a draft resolution was added to the agenda as supplemental item 15 for same-day consideration with this case. Next slide, please. The site is located in the northwestern part of Prince George's County within Planning Area 68 and Council District 3. Next slide, please. More specifically, the site is located in the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Van Buren Street and 45th Street. Next slide, please. The subject site is located in the mixed-use town center MUTC zone and is bound by Baltimore Avenue to the west with lots in the one-family detached residential R55 zone beyond. Commission-owned property in the R55 zone abuts the property to the north with residential uses in the R55 zone beyond. A CSX railway abuts the site to the east with institutional and governmental uses in the mixed-use transportation-oriented MXT zone, as well as residential uses in the R55 zone. Commercial and governmental uses abut the site to the south in the R55 zone with residential and commercial uses beyond. Next slide, please. The overlay map shows a portion of the overall site is within Aviation Policy Area 6. Next slide, please. The aerial photograph provides the overall site boundary in red and shows the subject site is currently developed. The specific location for the proposed use is outlined in yellow. Please note that Van Buren Street is the overpass crossing the railroad tracks at the eastern property boundary. Next slide, please. The site map shows that the topography of the property is mostly level, with some variation in contours on the site periphery, and also contains stormwater management features. Slide 8, please. The master plan right-of-way map shows the master plan collector roadway Baltimore Avenue runs along the western edge of the subject property. River Tech Court is an industrial roadway near the southeastern corner of the property, which provides the connection to Van Buren Street via a roundabout and further connects to master plan collector roadway River Road. Next slide, please. The bird's eye view shows another angle of the specific building associated with the proposed use. This application only seeks to amend the table of uses to allow a food hall in the MUTC zone as a use permitted by right. The addition of a food hall as a permitted use will enhance the overall intent of the previous development plan by allowing a creative and attractive space for patrons to access a variety of dining options under one roof. Next slide, please. In conclusion, the zoning staff recommends that the planning board adopt the findings and approve the secondary amendment for the K-Fritz property at Riverdale Park, SA-130001-03, which does not carry any conditions. As previously stated, item 15 on the supplemental agenda is a draft resolution also for your consideration today, and this concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Sievers. Let's see if the board has any questions of you, Madam Vice Chair.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Washington.
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Sievers.
Okay, and Commissioner Dorner?
No questions. I am interested, Mr. Taub, in hearing kind of the plans for this, because I know that we don't worry about similar uses in a particular area to deny or approve an application, but it is pretty saturated with some food stuff in there. But the food court sounds pretty interesting, so I look forward to hearing more details about what's planned.
Thank you. And then I'm going to turn to Commissioner Giraldo before we turn to Mr. Taub. Okay.
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Seifert.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sievers. Okay, Mr. Taub, you're on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Good morning. For the record, I'm Larry Taub, attorney with the firm of O'Malley, Miles, Nallen, and Gilmore. Very pleased to see you all again. Yes, I want to thank, first of all, Mr. Sievers and also Mr. Hunt and Mr. Hurlbut. They were very, very helpful and cooperative in helping us to move this along at a relative warp speed, given the situation we found ourselves in. And I really do appreciate the cooperation of staff in helping to move this thing forward. This began as the concept of the owner, we think has been a great concept. That is, the thought was that, well, we have a number of restaurants already at Riverdale Park Station, and why not add a food hall, which is a bit different type of a restaurant situation, as you all know, but it is a collection of restaurants nonetheless. They went in for a permit and found that it unfortunately came to a screeching halt when it was determined that last year the Prince George's County Council found that a food hall would be a separate use from a normal eating and drinking establishment, but one that was not permitted in the MUTC zone for whatever reason. Frankly, we saw no particular reason why it should not be. It's a different type of restaurant collection, but it is a eating and drinking establishments nonetheless. And of course, we have Burton's, we have Burton's Grill, Habit Burger, Denizens Brewery, a number of establishments, and we hope you've all been to Riverdale Park Station to see how vibrant it is, how great it is so far. So in any case, we, after discussing this with staff, found that this particular application was the simplest way to seek approval of this type of use for this particular at Riverdale Park Station. To address Mr. Durner's question, I would actually ask Mr. Regulinski just to get on for a moment to describe the nature of the food hall, exactly where it's going to be located within this particular building.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay.
I don't, you want me to speak now or no?
Yeah, if you could just talk about the nature of the food hall and where it will be located.
Well, the food hall is going to be located, as was noted earlier, at the intersection of 45th Street and Woodbury Street. I think the more important issue for us is the daunting cost of entering the food service business to kit out a bricks and mortar restaurant. And as I think all of you have noticed, there has been a tremendous growth in the food truck world, and we see this as a means by which those who have been traditionally shut out of the capital necessary to open a bricks and mortar restaurant can get a start in that world through the operation of a small stall in a facility which has already been fitted out with the necessary food service equipment. And we hope that this fosters a means by which young chefs and chefs who don't have the access to capital can get into the food service business and hopefully one day open their own bricks and mortar restaurant. So we see this as a very important component of the life cycle of the industry, and hope that you would embrace that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Regulinski. Commissioner Dorner, does that answer your question?
Yes, I watched Netflix series on food apps and stuff and shows competing to get into brick and mortar kitchens and stuff like this. So I'm very excited with the concept, and I look forward to seeing what goes in.
Mr. Taub, you may finish with, okay.
I'll just finish up here. That first of all, I just want to mention that while we were not required to, we did go before the Riverdale Park MUTC committee to discuss the concept, as well as the University Park Development Review Committee, and received, I think, strong evidence of support from both. I think everybody sees this as a real, it's a great addition to Riverdale Park Station. So with that, I would indicate that we would certainly concur with the findings of the staff in the recommendation of approval, and ask that the planning board do the same. And before I sign off here, Mr. Dorner, my apologies for mispronouncing your name before, especially on your birthday. It's just, I'm always sorry. I passed your landmark a few years back, to say the least. But I do wish you great luck, great health for you and your family, and I hope you'll enjoy greatly your decade of the 40s. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and we are both happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taub, and I know you had to think back just a little bit to remember that decade, like I do. So anyway, okay, so let's see if the board has any additional questions of Mr. Taub. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions.
Okay, Commissioner Washington?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Dorner?
No questions, and I appreciate the kind word, Mr. Taub.
And then we have Commissioner Giraldo.
No questions, Madam Chair. I would say, though, that I'm familiar with Food Court. They have one in Eastern Market down by my office, and it's extremely successful and always busy. So good luck with this one.
Most food courts tend to be that way, so that's great. So so there are no questions. So let's call for a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and approve SA-130001-03.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Madam Vice Chair.
Glad to vote aye.
Okay. Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner.
I'll vote aye, and just under discussion, yeah, I'd echo Commissioner Giraldo's comments. I think the food court is a fantastic way for supporting local entrepreneurs who are trying to get their feet on the ground and start their own business. There is one actually even closer than Eastern Market. If you go down Route 1 and you pass by our art museum, right over there, there's a new multifamily building that's up, and there's a food court in there that has a couple of really tasty places, and it seemed to be doing pretty well. So I'm hoping that the same success happens at the Cape Roots property. And then I also just want to thank Mr. Child publicly, not anything to do with my decision on voting today, but he's been really responsive to accessibility challenges on this development. I reached out a couple of times around our trolley trail that the commission owns. When you're trying to get off of the trail and back up, there were a couple like drop-offs for folks who have wheelchairs or strollers or bikes, and he's been very quick at responding to that, which has been great to kind of see the joint work with the commission's trails and accessibility and developers going into here. And if you haven't been in that area, we actually teamed up with one of our former alumni who's now working in for the town of Riverdale, and she helped us put in lights on the trail down there. So at nighttime, they're tied into the Pepco poles, and they light up, going down from Hyattsville all the way up to this development. And I'm hoping that will create a number of more kind of interactions with folks between the two kind of areas going back and forth. And then also just the town center that you've got right there in Riverdale. I think it's going to be good for the local area. So thank you for all the support on that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorner. And finally, Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye. Thank you.
The ayes have it 5-0. Also, it was and Mr. Commissioner Dorner, thank you so very much for your comments. It's really important, and for all those accessibility issues, that's critical as well. And you mentioned alumni, and may I remind everyone, because some may not date as far back as I do, but we are pleased that Mr. Attorney Taub is an alumni from the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. He sat in a position I once sat in, and that Jaleesa sits in, and he was a former associate general counsel to the commission. So 2 years ago.
Very proudly so.
Yes, he was. So I think his government experience and his private sector experience combined, it makes for a good attorney. It really does, at understanding these issues. So thank you. So motion carries 5-0. Congratulations on the food court. Congratulations, Mr. Regulinski and Mr. Taub. And we will now move to item 15, which is the resolution. Yes.
Resolution.
That's what I'm saying. We're now moving to item 15, which is the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
I just need, it is the Prince George's County Planning Board Resolution 20-22-17, which is the resolution reflecting the embodiment of the decision we just made. Is there a motion?
Move approval, Madam Chair.
Second.
We have a motion by, was that Madam Vice Chair?
Commissioner Washington.
It was Commissioner Washington that made the motion, and seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
And Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye.
The ayes have it 5-0. Now you're done.
Madam Chair, if I might just take a quick moment, just won't take long, but I just want to, first of all, echo the comments of my good friend, Mr. Gingles, with regard to your service on the planning board. And I'll just say on a personal note, as you well know, you and I go back many decades, well before your service as chair of the planning board, and we've known each other for a long, long time. And I just want to say you have always conducted yourself not only as chair of the planning board, but in every other position you have been in with such great, you have shown such great respect for people coming before you. You show great courtesy. You are just if there be the proper word, a gentlewoman. And you have been absolutely, you represented Prince George's County in such an amazingly great way. And I know you will continue to do so. And we look forward to seeing you in your post-planning board days as well. But great kudos to you and for not only the job you've done, but the manner in which you have done it. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Taub. Yeah, we do go back many decades, and I remember with great fondness Shipley, Curry, and Taub, you know, amongst others, amongst other iterations.
Absolutely.
So thank you so very much, and that was very kind of you. And you please go have enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.
You as well. Thank you to all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is item 10, which is mandatory referral 2023F, the Maryland Solar Holdings LLC, TPE, Maryland Solar Holdings LLC. And may I see, is Ms. Osei on? Oh, there you are, right? Okay, thank you. And Mr. Haller, are you on?
I'm on, Madam Chair.
There you are. Okay, got it. Okay, so we have a number of speakers signed up. So we have Francis Uhas. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Luis Sanchez.
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. Michelle Carpenter. Michelle Carpenter, do you want?
Yes, I'm here.
Sarah Purcell.
Yes, I'm here.
Kathy Poole.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. Meredith Byer.
Yes, I'm here. And all those people that you've mentioned so far are part of the applicant team, so we're just available for questions if you have any for us.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Daryl Clark. Daryl Clark signed up. Okay. But we don't see him on now. I'll call his name again as we proceed. All right, Ms. Osei, you were on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. I'm Christine Osei, Countywide Planning. I'm presenting on item 10, which is a proposed 2 megawatt solar array on 8.5 acres of a larger 16.87 acre site located at 11211 Tippett Road in Clinton, Maryland. The site is undeveloped and contains 3 lots, 27, 28, and 29 in the residential estate zone. The application was accepted on December 15, 2021, and notices were mailed to abutting property owners and Area Civic Association on December 22nd, 2021. Staff did not receive any inquiries as a result of those mailing. The area of the proposed array conforms to the 2018 adopted solar energy guidelines, but for one reason, it contains productive soils, and the applicant has provided a pollination plan to contain various agricultural assistance on the farm. Staff requests the planning board to approve the staff recommendations and transmit the findings to the applicant. Before I proceed in my presentation, I'd like to take care of some administrative issues that have occurred since the report was transmitted out on the web and to the planning board. So, Madam Chair, on the 3rd, I received an email from Ms. Byer indicating that the slides and maps on the staff report had shown only 1 lot, which I just mentioned, it has 3. So we've changed slides 3 to 7 to show the 3 lots. And then, of course, on slide 11, she gave another slide to replace that slide as well. On the staff report, we replaced map 2 and 3. The project name, again, she indicated that the name we had shown on the planning board agenda and on the report was incorrect. She directed me to make sure this is the new name, is what is shown on the slide that is being seen at the moment. Also, I just got a directive to indicate that the staff report did indicate that the site is within aviation policy area 6 and did not cite the airport, which is the Washington Airport. So I'm just going to note that for the record, and we'll change that in the staff report. Before I set into my presentation, Mr. Dorner, welcome to the February birthday club. I'm a February born, and I welcome you to the February birthday club because we've already been there for many years, but I'm ahead of you. Thank you. Okay, I'll get into the presentation. Slide 1, which I mentioned at the beginning, was a generic just showing exactly how the construction begins on a typical solar, and the new name, which is shown on the slide. Next slide. The area is Council District 9, Planning Area 81B. The area is shown in red and magenta in the southern portion of the county. Next slide. The vicinity map shows the planning area outlined in red. Next slide. This is the zoning, which shows the residential estate zone for the property and the adjoining properties as well. The area is shown in red. Next slide. The area view also highlights or shows the area outlined in red with the 3 lots, which I mentioned before, lot 28, 27, and 29. Next slide. The environmental feature map shows a gentle sloping area on all the 3 lots with a concentration of woodlands in the southern portion of the site, which most of it will be preserved. The site has an NRI, which has been approved and valid for 5 years. Next slide. The master plan shows Tippett Road as a collector road, which is a green running north of the property area highlighted in blue. Next slide. The project summary just shows exactly what the construction on the site and the future that will result as a result of the construction, which are outlined here, which is include the access road to the site as well. Next slide. The existing site shows the outline of the study area and the concentration of woodland preserved area in the southern portion of the area, the dark kind of featured area south of the area. And it also shows a pink dots, which are structures that will be removed. The applicant did not indicate what type of structures they are, but those are the things that will be removed from the site before the construction of the area begins. Next slide. This is the view of the site from Tippett Road. Next slide. As I mentioned before, there's woodland on the site, and this is a portion of the southern area of the woodland area that will be preserved on the site. Next slide. I mentioned earlier that the site conforms to the 2018 solar energy guidelines, and this slide shows that the pollination plan that has been proposed by the applicant on the map. Next slide. The site plan shows the outline of this array, which is like an L shape, with the southern portion, which is a woodland that will be preserved, and access will be from Tippett Road. Next slide. The proposed fencing is showing metallic black chain link fence that will be the entire area will be fenced with a gate. Next slide. This is a combination of the landscape and the pollination area, which I mentioned earlier. And again, it highlights the exact area where the array will be constructed. And the southern portion of the area, which is left out, is a woodland area that will be preserved on site. Next slide. This is a sample of a project that the applicant has constructed somewhere else in the county. And I just wanted to show how eventually, when the site is completed, it would look like. It could look something like this, close to this. Next slide. There are 3 recommendations. The first 2 being fire. The applicant has to coordinate construction on the site with fire. for emergency response to decide if there was to be fire. And the third recommendation is just for the applicant to post a construction schedule at the gate, so anyone in the vicinity who drives by can actually know what's happening on the site on a given day during the construction phase of the project. This concludes our presentation, and I'm available for comments from the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Osei. Let's see if the board has any questions of you before we go to Mr. Haller. Madam Vice Chair, any questions of Ms. Osei?
No, thank you, Ms. Osei. No question.
Okay. And then Commissioner Washington?
No questions. Thank you, Ms. Osei.
Okay, Commissioner Dorner?
No questions and happy belated birthday.
Wonderful. And all right, and Commissioner Geraldo?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, and then now we're going to turn to Mr. Haller.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Planning Board. Thomas Haller on behalf.
Okay, hold on a second, because I would like for other people to turn their mics off and just stick with Mr. Haller for the moment, because then we won't have feedback. Okay, Mr. Haller?
Again, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thomas Haller on behalf of the applicant. We have several members of our team here today, including Franny Uhas, who is with Turning Point Energy, and we are all here to answer any questions that you have. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Osei. She's a pleasure to work with on these cases. She's got a lot of experience and is familiar with these types of projects, and so we appreciate her experience and her expertise as we go through these applications. As the staff report notes, the property is about almost 17 acres, and about 8.5 of that property will be used for the proposed solar arrays. The remaining portion of the property is mostly wooded or exhibits steep slopes and site features, and that area will be completely preserved as was shown on the site plan. Also, the property is zoned RE, which is not agricultural, or not zoned for agricultural use. But because the property has been farmed in the past, we are proposing to use pollinator species under the solar arrays, even though the solar energy guidelines only requires that in the ROS, OS, and RA zones. So we are proposing to use the pollinator species, even though we're not required to by the solar energy system guidelines. Also, as the staff report notes on page 6, even though we are exempt from the landscape manual, we are providing the full buffers, not only along all abutting properties, but also along Tippett Road as well. I would note that in this particular instance, Tippett Road is shown on the master plan of transportation as being realigned at some point in the future, and will eventually encroach further into the property. As a result of that, in order to honor the future relocation of the road, these solar arrays are being set back further from the road than would typically be the case in order to accommodate a future widening of the road. While that may not happen even during the lifetime of this project, it does allow for a wider setback and provides ample room for us to provide landscaping in front of the fence in order to ensure that the solar arrays are screened. The only other thing I wanted to note is that Mr. Clark did sign up as a party of record. We had sent him a letter last year reaching out to him, and had also called him and left a message, but had not heard from him. And as Ms. Osei noted, the staff also sent out a notice letter back in December. We did finally reach him this week and talk to him. He was questioning what, landscaping and buffering, and asked us to send him a copy of the landscape plan. And he indicated that if he was satisfied with the landscape plan, that he would likely not participate in the planning board hearing. But I did want the board to know that we did reach out to him, we did talk to him, and we did provide him supplemental information to answer any questions that he has. With that, I'm going to close my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Haller. I'm going to turn to the board and see if they have any questions of you. And before I do that, I will apologize for the misnomer. It should have been, as you indicated, and I called it by the wrong name. That's what I was given initially. TPEMD PR 232, LLC. Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn to the board and see if we have any questions. Madam Vice Chair?
No questions.
Commissioner Washington?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorner?
No questions. Appreciate the gesture on the herbaceous pollinators and coverage there. I think that's a great way to go.
Shows you people have been listening too. Okay, and Commissioner Giraldo?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
Okay, so with that, we will entertain a motion. Oh,
Madam Chair.
I could check and see if Mr. Clark signed on one more time. I said I would come back, but I don't think Daryl under D, but that explains, no, he's not there. He did not sign back on. But I will say, Mr. Howard, thank you for explaining that, because we know he did sign up on Tuesday, probably to preserve his right to speak, because, meaning he did the right thing. He's been listening. But you must have answered his questions. So with that, I'm going to turn for a motion. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendations to include the noted technical corrections as communicated by staff at the top of her presentation. And with that, approve the transmittal of MR-2023F to Mr. Adam Beal.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington, seconded by Commissioner Giraldo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Vice Chair?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Dorner?
Vote aye.
And Commissioner Giraldo?
Vote aye, Madam Chair. Thank you.
The ayes have it 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do want to make a quick note to Commissioner Dorner, and I guess to you as well. Anytime we get to stages in our lives where changes occur, sometimes it can be a little daunting. And somebody once told me that the next 10 years are the best 10 years. So to both of you, keep that in mind as you move ahead in life.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Howard. I do want to, I'm going to turn to Mr. Hunt for a critical question for the day. And before I do that, though, I do want to say happy belated birthday to Christine Osei. I do
Madam
want.
Chair, is next week. Thank you.
It's not belated. They said myself belated. So happy early birthday then.
Thank you.
Okay. Born in this Black History Month and also to Therapeutic Recreation Month and the Love Month. Okay, so with that, I do want to remind everyone to please take good care, to please get vaccinated and boosted. Do what you need to do. And this is the Love Month. Do what you need to do for yourself, for everyone that you care about, for your colleagues, and that means taking care of your health and your self-love. So that means getting vaccine boosted. That means de-stressing. That means taking care of your heart from a cardiology standpoint and also from a emotional standpoint. And one of the best ways to do it is just to be kind to one another. There's so much. You watch the news, you listen to the news. There's so much going on, and there's good going on, but there's a lot of bad stuff going on too. And we can make a difference one person at a time. So please step up your game in terms of being kind to one another. It is really, truly important. Stay safe, but by all means remain ever hopeful. And with that, I'm going to say happy 40th birthday again to our very own Commissioner Dorner. Hey!
Happy birthday, Will. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Joy. Joy.
And now I turn to Mr. Hunt. And I say, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I turn to Mr. Hunt. Is there any additional business to come before this planning board today?
There's no additional business before the planning board today, Madam Chair. Thank you, and happy birthday, Commissioner Dorner.
Planning board is adjourned.
Hi, y'all.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.